Welcome back. In anticipation of the next lesson on materials, I offer a video dedicated to a modeling exercise. We are going to create a model of a small house to which we will then go on to apply materials in a later video. Let's delete the default cube and insert a plane which we set as a dimension to 2.5 meters. Let's go into edit mode, switch to edge selection mode. I remind you that this is done with the 2 key. We select this edge, then we extrude along the green line, which is the y-axis, so E to extrude, Y to constrain along the axis, and we set 2.5. We do this operation 2 more times. We have thus placed 4 square modules of 2.5 meters each. We take the penultimate one and extrude it toward the x-axis. So this time, after pressing E, we press X and set as extrusion always 2.5. See, we switch to face selection mode, select them all, and extrude upward, then E to extrude. You see that automatically Blender proposes the z-axis because we are extruding faces and not individual edges, so we go up 2 meters. We select this row of 4 faces. We press P to separate them, then invoke the separate selection command. We select this other face and separate it as well. Then at the bottom, we go to select all the faces. I'll take this opportunity to point out this convenient command, which is with the abbreviation Shift-G, we go to call up. Select similar. Here we can pretty much very quickly select objects that are similar in certain characteristics to the one we just selected. In our case, we want to select all those faces that are coplanar to the one we indicated, so we select coplanar. You can see that with one click Blender has selected them all for us. Obviously, we could have just held down the Shift key and clicked on all the individual faces, but this was an example that, if you mark it down, may come in very handy in the future when eventually there will be many more faces. Let's press the P key again and separate that selection as well. We come out to edit mode and then we have 4 different meshes. The first one, called plane, is our walls. Then we have plane 01, which we'll call the long roof. We have plane 02, short roof. Finally, plane 03. Floor. Let's then go and create our roof. Let's go into edit mode. With Ctrl-R, we go to insert a center cut. We press ESC to leave it where it is. We then move it along the Z-axis. We press G. Z to bind on the axis, and we move upward 1 meter. We do the same thing by exiting edit mode and re-entering the short roof. Ctrl-R. And this time we make the cut line perpendicular. S to leave it where it is, then G to move, Z to constrain along the axis, and Uno to go to set the height. Let's now go to set the vertex selection mode. Let's select this vertex. Let's set the snap to the perpendicular of the edges. Then we can enable the displacement manipulator. Drag along the x-axis. And with the Ctrl key go to enable the snap. Add to go for the perpendicular point of the ridge of the long roof. Let's exit edit mode. We have now created the roof of our little house. But let us now go to edit the walls so that they go over the open part. Let's go into edit mode. Again, using Ctrl-R, let's go to cut the face vertically. We press ESC to leave the cut line where it is. Then we select the vertex. Let's go to edit the snap. In this case, we set add to the vertices. We press the G key to move. Then we press the B key. Key to go tell Blender where we want to go to anchor. We click on the starting point. Then we drag ourselves to the ridge of the roof and make a second click. We do the same thing on the other 2 walls. Ctrl-R. ESC to leave where it is. We select the top vertex. G to call up the grab command. EB to call up the snap base point. So let's start from here. We make a second click on the ridge. And it too has been correctly moved. Let's go to the last wall again. Control R. S to leave it where it is. We select the top vertex. We press G, B. And we make the 2 clicks to move the vertex correctly. Now, let's go now to see how we can give the roof a thickness. Let's select the long roof. Let's go to the modifiers section. And let's add a solidify modifier. This modifier gives a thickness to the mesh faces. We'll give them 10 centimeters of thickness, so 0.1. Let's take a closer look. We see that this thickness went inward. Instead, we wanted it toward the outside, so we changed the offset from -1 to +1. Plus, we click on even thickness to give an even thickness to the mesh. It is particularly noticeable on the roof ridge. Look at it and turn it back on. Do you see the difference? Well, now we're going to apply the same modifier to the short roof as well. Let's select it. Then with Shift, we select the long roof. And with Ctrl L, we're going to bring up the link transfer data command. We then go to copy the modifiers. Let's click copy modifier, and in doing so, we copied the modifier that we had applied to the long roof to the short roof as well. Let's go now and add some Sporto. Let's select the long roof. Let's go into edit mode. Let's go to the edge selection mode, and we select the 2 ridge edges. Then we move them with the displacement manipulator. 20 centimeters, so 0.2. Minus because we are going in the opposite direction of the arrow. Enter to confirm. Let's go to the opposite side. Let's select these 2. Let's drag the displacement manipulator along the y-axis, 0.2. Enter to confirm. This time we did not have to press the minus key because we were moving along the direction of the arrow. By analogy, you should now be able to create the short roof overhang on your own. So stop the video here and do it yourself. Good. I hope you have succeeded. In case I show you, I select the roof, I go into edit mode, I select these 2 edges, and this time instead of we go to act on the y-axis, we go to act on the x-axis, red arrow. We drag it and enter 0.2. Of course, then you can use different values as well. Great. We have created the front overhang, however, we also need a little bit of side overhang. Let's go over how to do that as well. If we select this edge, the displacement manipulator actually cannot help us, because it either moves along the z-axis or along the x and y-axis. However, neither of these are parallel to the roof pitch. We have 2 possibilities. The first is to change the reference system. Instead of global, we use as transform orientation. Normal. In this case, Blender goes and takes the normal of the roof face and matches the z-axis to it. So all we have to do here is drag the x-axis and give it a value. Let's give it 0.1. And in this case, we have to press less because we are going in the opposite direction of the arrow. We go to the other side, select, and we drag 0.1. Again less because we are going in the opposite direction of the arrow. The second method of creating the overhang we see for the long roof. Let's go back to using like transform orientation global. Let's go into edit mode and select the edge. Now let me remind you that the roof is composed of 4 parts. We can see it by enabling the X-ray view. To select all of them, we can hold down the Alt key and click on the edge. Automatically, Blender selects us the whole loop of edges. Good. To perform a move along the direction of the roof pitch, we can press the G key twice in rapid succession. Let's do this together, GG. And we see that Blender allows us to move our edges following the roof's gate. However, having arrived at the bottom, we can go no further. Instead, to be able to go beyond this line, we can either hold down the Alt key or press the C key once. With the C key, you see these lines are formed, indicating the straight lines on which we are moving. At this point, we simply have to indicate how far we want to move, i.e. 0.1. E minus because we were going in the opposite direction, and then enter to confirm. Let's go to the other side. With the Alt key, we select the long roof edge loop, then G twice. We press the C key, and then 0.1, a minus, and enter. We disable the X-ray. We exit edit mode, and there, finish the involucro of our little house. Let's go now to create the holes for the doors and windows. Let's insert a cube. We make it the size of 1. Then we go to edit the snap. In addition to the vertices, we are going to add the edge center. To add more items, just hold down the Shift key. Now let's move this cube with the G key. And we press the B key to tell Blender that we want to set the initial snap point. So we take the center of this edge, click. We move to our little house and take the center of the wall. We move the cube out, GY to constrain us along the y-axis, and we go out, for example, 0.5 meters, less because we are going in the opposite direction of the arrow. And there we have positioned the cube to make the door hole. Let's go and look at the dimensions. As we set it up precisely, it is 1 meter wide and 1 meter high. So for a door, it is definitely... Lovely. Let's then go into edit mode. And let's switch to face selection mode. And we select the top face, so we move it upward by 1 meter. So here we now have a cube that is 2 meters high and 1 meter wide. This is really a little house of those prefabricated tool houses. Here it is not a real house, otherwise it would be much bigger. Of course, if you want, nobody forbids you to make it. Let's go now to create the hole. We are going to use the Bool Tool add-on, which I remind you, if you have not activated it, we can find it in the preferences. Bool Tool. Some of you have reported to me that you cannot find it among the add-ons present by default. Here in this case, you can try going to the Get Extensions section and always look for Bool. We find them among the installed, but we also find them on the available. That is, we have the option to install it via this button. Well, we select our door, we select the walls, and with Ctrl we go and do the subtraction. It's not actually opening a door though, it looks more like creating a niche. Well, this is because unlike the roof, we have not given a thickness to the walls. To do this, we should use another modifier, solidify. So we select the walls. We go into the modifiers, we see that we find the cube boolean, we add a modifier. We solidify, we give it a thickness of 4 centimeters, so 0.04. We select event thickness, and we see that still something is wrong because we keep seeing a kind of niche. Here we remember that the modifiers actually have an order of application. Because the boolean comes first, solidify is only applied after that. So what we are going to do is drag the modifier above to make sure that the wall thickness is given first and then the subtraction is applied. Here is now. What appears is a real gap in a wall. 4 centimeters may seem few, however, let's remember that we are talking about a small house of tools so type made with wooden boards. Of course, however, you can use the thickness you prefer. Let's go now to insert the windows. With Shift A, we are going to insert another cube, which will always have the size of 1 meter. We move it up by 1 meter, then GZ1, and press Enter. With the Shift manipulator, we move it outward. So we go to give it a little bit more of a shape. Since a parapet should be at least 1 meter, and in this case it is only 0.5, let's raise it up another ½ meter. So let's act on the manipulator. And we type 0.5, enter to confirm. Then we make a window that is not 1 meter high, but we make it only 80 centimeters. So in my case, I select the top face and lower it by 20 centimeters. So I go out of edit mode. We also select the wall. And with Ctrl, let's go and apply the Boolean subtraction for the window as well. Having reached this point, you should be able to complete any other holes for doors and windows. Feel free to do as you like or copy what I do. I will duplicate this parallel piped. Moving on the y-axis by 2 meters. And then again with Ctrl, I will go and create another window. I'm now going to select the parallelepiped used to make the door hole, and with Shift D, I'm going to bring it to the center of this wall as well. I then move the parallelepiped to the inside, and again I select the wall, and with Ctrl I go to apply the Boolean. I'm not going to make any more holes. However, if you guys want to make more, feel free. We see that Blender has moved for us the objects that we used to make these holes inside the Boolean cutter collection. This allows us to always have them on hand. By enabling it with the little box, we can see its contents. We have all the various elements, so we can also decide to hide them from view. And I note that here the roof is not perfectly aligned, so we can go and stretch it a little bit. We press the G key twice, the Alt key to be able to go along the extension, and the Shift key to make small movements. Same thing on the opposite side. We select the edge, twice G. We hold down the Alt key to be able to move over the edge. Yeah, and if we want to perform small moves, we also hold down the Shift key, click to confirm. And here is our finished little house. Well, this is a little modeling exercise that I absolutely avoid doing. We will use this small construction to see how to apply textured materials to various objects. In the next lesson then, we will talk about how to use the node editor to insert images, and especially how to make sure that Blender knows how we want to place these images on our object. As always, I thank you for following along, and I will see you again soon.